Amen. Oh, all right. Those in the back, come on down. Come on down. So this is a little embarrassing. I will have two apologies to make during this lesson. So, yeah, there's that. Of course, if I only need to apologize twice in one day, that's actually a pretty good day, right? I should probably be pretty proud of myself. Oh, wait. Pride goes before the fall. I apologize. That's 3 now. I should have stopped while I was ahead, right? That would have been better. The first apology, I'll get this one out of the way quickly. Today's class is going to be a little all over the place. I'm going to need you really to lock in and stay focused and help me out with this. But one of the things that we'll talk about, well, we're going to go over some of your answers from last week. How many of you were in class last week? Raise your hand. Okay, a good number of you. If you weren't, don't worry. I'll try and explain. But we'll get to that in just a second. Our experiences being discipled. So this is, these are your answers from last week. We had about 32 people submit cards with answers to 3 questions. I'm putting the answers up now. You know there's a pie chart, so clearly it must be very scientific. The only thing more is if I had a Venn diagram, but I didn't have that kind of time this week, so pie chart it is. Plus, I like pie, which is another plug for Family Day today if you are going to stay. I hope you do. I asked a question, what is our experience being discipled? When have you been discipled? How have you been discipled? So if you notice, the light blue will start at 12 o'clock and go around fairly quickly. We had, and I even still have the card with some of the data, we had about 5 people who mentioned out of 32 who turned it in. Now, there was more than 32 people last week, so some people didn't turn in cards. And as an educator, I did put that in your grade book. 5 people mentioned they hadn't been discipled at all. No discipling. The next part, the red part there, kind of red, 11 people said, I mean, before, several years ago, a long time ago, I was discipled. Ooh, okay. One person mentioned before I was baptized, I was discipled, not since. And that's the little green one down here. This purple is current or recent. 4 people mentioned they were currently or recently being discipled by somebody else. The yellow, the kind of yellow one there, was 6 people out of 32 again. Remember, it's 32 is the sample size we got last week. 32 out of 32, 11 said, several years. Pre-baptism 1, current recent. Current recent was 4. 4 people said currently recently. The yellow there, throughout. 6 people said, throughout my Christian walk, I've been discipled. Okay, that's pretty good. And that last one up near the top there, 1230 or so, was someone who mentioned they were discipled in doctrine, but not in having relationships or being connected with somebody. So they said I was taught information, but I wasn't discipled. So that kind of gives us an idea of where we're at. Next up is the focus function question, right? We talked about churches being come and see, come and fellowship, those kinds of things. So I asked what you thought. What was your perception of the church here? So let's take a look at that. What has the culture been here, the focus and function? So we had still 32 people, thankfully. 20 out of the 32 said VA has traditionally, or to their understanding, knowledge, experience, has been mostly educational, which was come and learn, right? Come and learn. We had 8 say it was organizational or home-based, home functioning, where it's come and fellowship. Just kind of come, hang out here, be here, everything's good. Not quite a monastery feel, right? But kind of we're locked in and it's us. For the mission part, go and serve. Go and serve. What was that? We had about three people who said go and serve is kind of the focus and the function of the church. And one person said attractional, like come and watch. Come and watch. So that's kind of that part of it. Everybody good so far? You with me? Kind of? Okay, I'm getting a few nods. I'll go with that. So knowing what the culture is will help us. Like, why do we care? Well, who cares, Buster? Who cares about these numbers? Ooh, it's a pie chart. Very impressive. But, well, who cares? Charts and graphs. So this kind of gives us a baseline of understanding. Now, I know it's only 32 people out of 180, but we can get pretty good numbers from that. And it's folks who have been here during Bible school, Sunday class. So that's a good sign, right? Those are the people who know. We're trying to get to a culture of discipleship, which is go and make, not just come and see, come and learn, those kinds of things. We're trying to get to the culture of go and make, right? That's kind of the point of this whole idea. And in that vein, so let's talk about, so a couple of things that Jesus said often. He often said, fear not, right? Which I think is one of the things that keeps us from discipleship. But he also said, follow me, right? Mark 3. Why discipleship? Mark chapter 3, he appointed the 12 so that they could be with him and that he could send them out to preach, so that he could be with them and then they would go out. It wasn't to hold it in together, right? You with me? He says, so that they could be with him and he could send them out. It wasn't a lecture, I guess is what I'm getting at. And education is great. We have to know what Jesus said to be able to follow what Jesus did and to be changed by Jesus, right? That's, I hope, pretty obvious. Nobody's saying we shouldn't learn. That's not the point. But even in Mark, he's talking about Jesus saying he appointed the 12 disciples, original disciples, apostles, so that they could be with him. And then he could send them out. Not so they could be with him and stay with him and never go out and do anything. And it wasn't just lectures. Did he speak to thousands of people? Go like this, please. Okay, good. Otherwise, I'm going to think I'm dreaming and we're all asleep. He got them to spend time with him so they could go out. Yeah, he spoke to lots of people. He spoke to thousands of people. He shared with everybody. But they stayed with him so that they could go out and do the work and do his mission. 1 Corinthians 11, Paul says, right, be imitators of me, just as I'm an imitator of Christ. He's saying, do what I do, not just say what I say. We still have to say it. We still need to say it. We still should want to say it, right? We've got something that the world needs. We got exclusive rights to this amazing gift of salvation, and more than salvation, hear me please, more than salvation, the opportunity to live with God now and forever. That's we have something that the world desperately needs. Yeah, Nathan.
You may get into this later, but nowadays, how and where do we go out and preach?
Wait, are you asking or are you saying? Okay. All right, hold on to that question then, because maybe I'll try and remember to answer that here in a minute, I think. We'll see. Actually, yes, I will. Okay, I got you. All right. We're talking about, so Paul is saying, be imitators of me as I imitate Christ. Do what I do when I do what he did. So we're doing this. Philippians 4, right? The things you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. So he even says, hey, you want the God of peace to be with you? What, the things that you've heard, seen, witnessed, do those things. Do that. And he's going to give us power. So here's apology number 2, or I guess number 3 now, since I had to apologize for being prideful because I didn't have much to apologize for. This one's a little bit tougher. And this is where I was praying for truth and love. So let me apologize. I may have missed the mark last week and the week before in explaining the stages of being a disciple. from our answers last week, half the people who put in an answer said they were in the final stage of being a disciple, the parent stage. And maybe that's accurate. I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to think maybe I didn't explain it right. In the stages of being a disciple, the parent stage culminates with this description. This is what it's supposed to be, that parent stage. Remember, it's not if you have kids or something, right? It was just an example. Like, we could number them instead, level 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. At this stage, if we're a parent, if we're at that stage of discipleship where we're over here, that means I'm a mature disciple maker. I'm making disciples who are making disciples. So we had half the people said parent, half the people said young adult. Let's look at that again. Young adult is serving others with joy, other-centered, humility, sacrificing for other people. That's great. Parent is reproduce and make disciples. They're feeding themselves. They value the church team. At this stage, the disciple maker, the disciple is a mature disciple maker. That means they're actively making disciples who are making disciples. So that means I don't even ask you how you're doing, right? I'm asking you how the disciples you've made are doing.
Would it help to maybe differentiate by saying it's not the same as your maturity in your faith?
Yes.
Specifically regarding discipleship?
I think so. We can be a fairly mature in our faith. And even that's a bit of a misnomer, right? Because if we are, we're probably making disciples who make disciples, right? But we can say, as Jonathan was mentioning, I'm fairly mature in my faith and my understanding and my belief, but am I fully mature in my obedience to fulfilling the mission of Christ? That's a different level, right? Shoot.
You can also be, by kind of that definition, you can still be a young adult and a parent at the same time. Because I can, by serving others with joy, centering with humility, sacrificing for others with my example, I'm making disciples too.
Well, you're certainly planting seeds. I mean, you're certainly planting seeds who may become disciples. Yeah. It's.
I think that it could be a transition. It doesn't have to be just because you are a young adult, you're not making disciples. We need to be careful with that too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and everybody's along the path somewhere of disciple making. And it's not that once I make this level, I'm always at this level, or I can only go forward. I can be a little in both, right? The goal is to keep going.
Also, the situation where we are. You know, because in some places maybe we can know being a parent, and in another situation we are going to be a young adult.
Oh, right. So I think you're getting at like the idea of, okay, maybe if I'm around somebody else who is a very mature disciple and they're kind of helping me along maybe. And in some situations I might be serving but not doing this part. Is that?
Or in the world.
Or in the world. Okay. Having half just made me wonder if I didn't quite get it clear enough, and that's my fault. I'll take that. The question that I asked myself is if half of us in Sunday morning class are at the final stage of being a disciple, of being a parent, someone who's making disciples who make disciples, not just my kids, which we have to start at home. I get that. I got 2 kids. I got a wonderful daughter-in-law. Like I get, you got to start at home. But if half the people in class are disciples who are making disciples, I think there'd be a lot more disciples. I'm just, and again, maybe it was not clarifying the definition very well.
Acts 15, 16 chapter.
Acts 15.
16 says, Barnabas took Mark with him and went to Cyprus. Paul took Silas and left, committed by the brethren, and traveled through Sicily and Syria, strengthening the churches. And then Paul came to Derbe, and then he wanted to take this man to go with him named Timothy. And so you see the mature disciple maker taking disciples with them. And it's important that they used to say if you wanted to be an elder or a shepherd, you had to have some flock following you.
Yeah.
To be a disciple growing in their disciple making.
Yes. And David touched on something really clear in those verses. They took someone with them. This guy took this guy. This person took this person. So this isn't even about adding another thing to your schedule. This is about taking someone with you doing what you're already doing. Watch me as I make a disciple. Come with me, assist, see it, watch it, and then like the verses we read earlier with Paul saying, imitate me. But you got to take somebody with you. This isn't a one-off individual superhero kind of deal, right? It's a team.
Going back to the teacher student.
Yes.
In radiology, we had to go to clinicals. We had to see one, do one, comp one.
Yes.
And to see one, you're just watching.
Yep.
Do one, they can help you. The comp one, they just sit there and watch you make a mistake, and they can't do anything.
Yep.
That's the whole thing, is you have to be there with them to see where they are at what level.
Right. Ryan read my notes because I had on here, watch one, do one, teach one. He added the comp one's a little different. They're really just watching to make sure you don't mess it up, right? But that's kind of that idea. Watch one. I take somebody with me. They watch as I try and disciple somebody. Do one. Now I get to watch you. And then teach one. Now you're teaching somebody else, right? I mean, that's the biblical example we see all throughout the New Testament. It's amazing. It's so it's amazing in how simple it is. And I know it's not easy. Trust me. I understand it's not easy. But it is simple. It's simple. And it's flexible. And it's not a specific set curriculum. So anybody can do this. And we know anybody can do it because God calls us to. And he tells us he'll be with us when we're doing this, right? In Philippians 4:9, do this and the God of peace will be with you. So this is, speaking of that, so this is our mission statement. I don't know if you've been on the website lately. Clint has been doing an amazing job. We're celebrating good things that happen, right? He's been working on the website for I don't know how long, forever, right? I mean, since the internet was invented, right, Clint? And I'm grateful for that. This is up. This is what people see when they come to our website. Well, what is the Van Alstyne Church about? This is the culture we're trying to make. This family's mission is to make disciples who make disciples, who in turn transform the world for Christ, to glorify God and to love our neighbors. And I've been, maybe you have too, I've been part of organizational changes, of vast organization mission statements and things, and building these things, and all of this. And I can't tell you how many times people roll out this thing. They spend months making a mission statement, a vision, have focus groups and the whole bit. Like, I've seen it up close. And 6 months later, nobody knows what it is. It's so frustrating, right? And nobody really does it. They just kind of do their thing. And we really want this to permeate the culture of this family. We want people to be able to know outside of here, not just inside of here. Oh, the VA church, man, they're all about helping people make disciples. They're all about transforming the world for Christ. They're all about loving their neighbors. I want the mayor to know that. We have a mayor, right? We have, okay, I mean, I don't know, man. Texas politics are weird. But the city council, whoever, I want them to know that's what happens here. That's what this family is about. And I hope we all want that.
Well, I think that there is a disconnect between what we think disciple makers are and what the church wants it to look like. And I don't mean like the leadership of the church. I mean like the whole opinion of the church. What does that look like, right?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you standing there today, it sounds like everybody needs to have somebody, following them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're leading them to convert other people to Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not necessarily hard to understand why so many people put that they're at this parent stage, because I think there's a disconnect. I don't know
Okay.
if they know what that's supposed to look like. Yeah, they're at the stage where they can do that.
Mm.
What does it look like for them to actually be doing that? Are we
Perfect.
saying that in order to fit the mold, they got to have somebody following them? Or the stage that they are in, or like the place they are in their life, in the world, the people around them, are they actively living that out? I mean, I don't know, but I can see there's so many people here that are definitely in the parent stage as far as their wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
As far as saying where they are in the discipleship process,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I can understand the disconnect in the definitions
Mm-hmm.
and why you're shocked.
Well, I'm just yeah, based on the definition, it's a little like, wow. I just imagine if half of us were making disciples who make disciples, there'd be a lot more disciples. And I do think, and I'm glad you asked this because it is a disconnect, and I hope that the disconnect is a little bit causing a little bit of tension. I do, because we probably need that. If I have all of the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience to be this, and I'm not doing it yet, and I've been that way for a long time, it's probably going to take a little bit of being uncomfortable to make that step to be fully obedient, I think. And remember, this isn't like oh, this is terrible, we're not doing this. This is, can you imagine what God will do if we start? That's really where we're at. Can you imagine what God will do in this place among the people around us if we start doing this? And no, not everybody's going to take people from death all the way down. I mentioned that before, I think I did. It's not, maybe you're just planting the seed here and you're getting them from death to life. And maybe somebody else is taking them that pathway to young adulthood or whatever, right, to the next step. I've seen that plenty of times. Someone else planted the seed, someone else did the initial discipling, maybe taught them some information about Jesus Christ, and then somebody else comes along and gets them over the over the hump and into the water, if that's the way to say that or not, I don't know. And somebody else has them follow them to go from child to young adult and to finally making disciples themselves.
So let's see if I understand this. So,
Mm-hmm.
I want to understand where you're going with all of this and
Oh.
what are the expectations for us.
Okay.
At each level of maturity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We are the disciples making disciples.
You can be. I mean, you can be planting seeds. You can be planting seeds. You can be watering.
I'm making disciples because it's not our, I believe that it's not our job to make this, like, God is the one that works in people.
Yes.
I can do what, I can follow maybe the Bible step by step, but God, the Holy Spirit is the one that does the work.
Right.
And I mean, I'm the kind of person, I can go to a mission trip, I can go in a lectureship, but I'm not the kind of person that I will sit and, I'm gonna, like, friends speak or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sit and try to converse with that person, trying to, hey, and let's go and baptize. I'm not, like,
Mm-hmm.
people think I'm outgoing, but actually, I'm not the type of person.
A little more introverted than that.
But what I'm saying is, like, when you're talking like that, I feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong because I'm not going door by door and making disciples. When I think that I do a lot of things
Uh-huh.
that is helping making disciples.
Right. And I don't think, I appreciate that. I don't think it's about,
Exactly what are the expectations.
okay, I don't think it's about doing things. And I think you maybe read my notes too, because in like 3 slides, I mentioned that all we're doing is planting the seed. God has to do the work. God gives the increase, right? And that, I think that's what you're saying too, right? No matter where I am along here, God is giving the increase. I'm planting seeds, I'm watering, but I'm doing it intentionally. I'm not doing it by accident and hoping that something happens. God blesses his mission, but if I'm not actually on his mission, Am I being obedient? So maybe you're being obedient in all kinds of different ways. That's what I'm saying too. It's not a curriculum. It's not a specific. Oh, you're filling in blank spaces on a worksheet or something. It's about doing what you do for the Lord and inviting someone to do that with you, not just doing it by yourself. Does that make more sense? Oh, I'll get you.
I think too, and it's probably important for all of us to remember that this is going to look different for every individual.
Yeah.
So to your point of it's not a curriculum, it's not everyone needs to be doing the same thing. This is going to look different in everybody's life.
Yes.
And something that I'm kind of coming to realize as we discuss this more and talk about it more over the past several weeks and months,
Yeah.
that the way that I used to think about this,
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I still don't think about this as we have these discussions and conversations, is it feels like, oh, I need to, regarding the intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I need to block out time to go disciple somebody. And I think, yeah, I don't want to speak for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for most of us, if we're approaching it that way, we might be doing it wrong.
Mm.
If we are following Jesus, apprenticing under him, walking with him,
Mm-hmm.
then our entire life should be doing what I'm losing the words to make this make sense, but everything that we do in our lives on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
ought to be reflecting and showing him.
Right.
Which in turn is the discipling. So it's not necessarily that we always have to say, oh, it's disciple time. Oh,
Right.
I see my neighbor over here needs some help. I'm going to go check in, see how they're doing.
Exactly.
And it's those natural relationships that are
Yes.
going to do the most.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's kind of a generic statement, not for everybody all the time.
Right.
I think we just kind of need to keep some of that stuff in mind.
Yeah, no, that's it exactly. So it isn't, and I started to say that, right? The idea that I'm not adding something to my schedule per se. The things that I'm already doing out of my love for the Lord, I just invite someone maybe to come with me and do that alongside me. It's not, oh, we got to have a 5 a.m. breakfast, disciple time, 5 to 5:30, see you there. I'm not going to do that. Sorry. If you really need something at 5:30, I guess you call me. But like that's not. Yeah, that's not.
I think it's hard for us too, just because just the way that
Yes.
our culture and the way we live with, I've got my 9 to 5 or my
Absolutely.
or whatever it is.
Yep.
Everything is blocked out. I think it's really hard to make that mold sometimes.
It is, and there's a ton of hands. So I I still have more to get through, but let me one. Okay.
I think a lot of our discipling is taking advantage of the opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
not to set, I need to do it at, like you're saying, at a certain time.
Right.
When the opportunity presents itself, it's
Right.
up to you to handle it.
Yeah, we need to be thoughtful, pray for those opportunities to happen. What was up there was what we did the last 2 weeks. This week, the last part of this book thing, it talks about it being a reproducible process, right? Let me back that up. So the first week, it was about intentional leadership, living it, communicating it, pruning it. Then it was creating it, fighting for it, modeling it, which is kind of the idea of bringing someone along and seeing what you do. This time, it's about a reproducible process. Train it, multiply it, budget it, and align it. We're not going to talk about a couple of those very much today because we're already behind. Fourth apology, sorry. But we are going to talk a little about train it and multiply it. So for an example, the train it, multiply it, and watch one, do one, teach one idea. This particular student that we met, she was like 18 or 19, wonderful person who was very interested in learning, interested in learning. And here's where my other notes come in. First, God does all the heavy lifting in this. Okay, and that's what we were saying a minute ago. We follow, We're changed. We're committed to his mission, but it's his mission and his power that gives the increase. We plant, water, God gives the increase. So again, this isn't, we have to do this or it's not going to get done, or if I don't do it right, it's not going to happen, right? This process isn't won or lost on whether or not we get everything perfect. It's not. It's him. And praise the Lord for that, right? Because he works in spite of my shortcomings. Sometimes he works through my shortcomings. Times when I really feel like I've messed up is when someone else has learned the most. Maybe what not to do. Maybe that God made something happen in spite of me. The trick is for this section, it needs to be reproducible. It can't be so convoluted. It can't be so structured and inflexible that someone else can't do what we're doing. You don't have to know everything to share everything that you know. One of the obstacles that we found overseas, and I'm seeing it, I see it here too in the Western church, is some folks, not everybody, right? Because we're all a little different. Some folks really feel like they have to know everything before they share anything. Well, what if somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer to? Well, they're going to. It's okay. It's okay. But we would see that overseas because the culture was very much, like the education culture is very much, well, whoever's teaching is the expert. I take notes, do what they say, and that's it. I don't think about it much. I just take it at face value, and that's what we do. So I can't tell anybody unless I know all of it, unless I'm a full-on expert. And we would fight that, right? Often we would have to work through that. This particular person, well, let me say this too. Luke chapter 6, verse 40. A pupil is not above his teacher, but everyone, after he's been trained, will be like his teacher. So hopefully, if our teacher's Jesus, we can start to be more like Jesus, right? This young woman definitely was trying to reproduce what she saw. She, we had the great pleasure of dunking her very early in our ministry, baptizing her. Sorry, Amy's laughing at me, dunking her. We baptized her very early. And the cool part was, it's a way longer story than I have time to share, but the road that her life took after she was baptized blew us away, made us scared for her. She dealt with a great many difficulties, right? And the thing that always blew us away about Angie was how joyful she was through all of it. She had the biggest smile I've ever seen anywhere. She followed us to a different city, kept learning, kept growing in her role as a disciple, went back to her hometown, opened a small English school, and she was using the Bible to teach English herself to other local people that didn't know. She had verses up on the wall in her little school. Her kids, especially Jimmy, her son, could tell you Bible stories, right? This little Chinese boy, like 4 or 5 years old. We got to go visit before we left, travel to go see her, and it was incredible to see how she was reproducing what God had given her, right? The message of Jesus Christ that she was sharing with her family, but also with people around her. You've heard me talk about this this person quite a bit. Lena, she planted so many seeds and taught so many of us what it meant to follow Jesus Christ. Very personally, for my kids, she was a wonderful example of Jesus to my children. But she watered, and in every relationship she had with everyone, she showed Jesus Christ to them. So she wasn't also randomly leading people from all the way from death to being mature disciple makers exactly, but she kind of was too. because she was committed to the mission of Jesus from early in her faith, right? She discipled this couple, right, that she was in school with. So she's sitting there next to Amy. The other two, the young man she went to college with and started sharing with him after she was baptized. And I mentioned a week or two ago, right, about secretly baptizing people at a hotel pool and getting our son to distract everybody. That's them. That's them. So Lena discipled those two, and then we got to see them over the years disciple their own kids and reach out to other people because it was a reproducible process. Often, and this happens overseas, it happens here, right, in this country. Somebody leaves, whoever it is, and then the whole thing falls apart because they're following the messenger, not the message. We were so blessed to stay long enough to see them do this on their own without us. And that was where it was at, right? That was the reproducible part of it. Matthew 10:27, right? What I tell you in the darkness, speak in the light. What you hear whispered in your ear, proclaim on the housetops. Private learning to public proclamation, right? This is reproducible. When we're in a small group, we get to talk to each other more than like this. I mean, we get to hear a little bit, right? But in a transparent group that we talked about 3-4 weeks ago, now I can really be open, honest with struggles, with things that are going on, with growing in my discipleship as a disciple. People can help me, I can help people. And those things that we learn in those moments are what we share with other people. I don't have to know everything to share everything I know. Romans 10:17, faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of Christ, right? We catch this. We have to share it. And it's good to be an example. We have to be an example. But at some point, too, we also need to say, I'm doing this because God loves me. I'm doing this because Jesus saved my life. I'm doing this because I've been saved for something, not just from something, right? That was an easy one when you're overseas. Well, why are you here? Why'd you come here, right? We would have people all the time. Why are you even here? You've been here how long? 5 years, 8 years, 10 years? Why are you still here, right? America's awesome. Why don't you go back there, right? That would be some of the people that would say that. I would be like, oh, we feel like God has us here for a reason, and he called us, and then we start. Right? Last one. These two are so special. She went first. Wow, I still have that shirt, don't I? Wow, that's an embarrassing number 3. Although it's totally faded, so you never see it. She got baptized, then brought him along to study, so it's reproducible. He got baptized. They got married in our living room, in our apartment. We spent time together, not just on Sundays. I got to give her away in our Western wedding. She asked, like, it was crazy, but they watched our kids grow up. They would come to Emma's birthday parties, right? Emma's performances, different things that our kids did. They were there. And the best part, I think, was they understood and started to learn about relational environments and intentional discipleship. They moved like 2 years before we left. Back to Wuhan, actually. Sorry. I know. But they went back there, so they went back. They moved back with another couple, and they moved into the same apartment complex so they could continue to study together more easily, work together. Amy went to visit them before we left, and they were having Bible studies with people in their apartment complex. They had even baptized somebody that was studying with them, right? So reproducible. We need this to be something that we can train and reproduce and keep going. Train and multiply it. So again, Paul in 2 Timothy, right? The things that you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to these faithful men who will be able to teach others also. We see it in our families, right? We teach our kids. Hopefully they teach their kids. Hopefully they teach their kids. We see that within our families, but we want to try and do this outside of our families too. It isn't just who we are, or it isn't just what we do, it's who we are. Like Jonathan was saying, and I hope I was trying to get it correct, it's not about adding some extra curriculum or some extra program or some extra what. It just becomes part of who we are. And like some of you have mentioned, some of us are way over here already in our spiritual walk. Cool, share it with somebody. That's all. Share your spiritual walk with somebody. You don't have to necessarily be doing all of these things extra. Just invite someone along as you do them, right? Luke 6:46. I hear this every once in a while, and it reminds me of what I don't do for me. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, but don't do what I say, right? I think it goes back to that watch one, do one, teach one. When we're listening in obedience to him, it's not just people coming to attend a lecture. How about this? So I can remember doing, this is totally different. So I can remember doing teaching parenting classes when I was an intern for psychology, right? When I was getting my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. I was interning at a Christian counseling center. It was awesome. I loved it until the second day when they gave me an office and my first client. And it was day 2, and I had a client already on my own. I was like, oh no. Imposter syndrome was really a thing. But they were having parenting classes, and they encouraged myself and another intern to teach this parenting class. And we had a workbook. I had a kid who was like 2, so clearly I knew what I was talking about, right? Oh my goodness, it was terrifying. And we had like 8 parents there that first session, and I totally. I was stuck to that workbook like glue, man, because I didn't know what else to say, because some of these parents had like 10-year-olds, one had a teenager, and I was like, oh yeah, my 2-year-old doesn't do any of this, right? I don't know. But what if, as Christians, we could just let people see us raise our kids instead of telling them how to raise kids? What if we could show them what it's like to be a Christian spouse instead of just telling them what it's like or what they should do to be a Christian spouse, right? What if we showed them what it was like to disciple somebody instead of just telling them, right? I can't imagine. No, that's not true. I have a pretty good imagination sometimes. I can imagine what God is wanting to do here, what he hopes to do, and what he can do is beyond my imagination, that part.